Hey, how's everybody doing? It's up there. It's 12:02. Down here, it's 11:02. So that was. I start off with a little interesting story that has nothing to do with politics. But off the coast of Brazil, they have found this species of shark that is. They call them cocaine sharks because there's so much cocaine in their blood because they eat the stuff that's dumped when they these subs and stuff like that throw the cocaine overboard as soon as they see the federales coming. It goes to show you how much cocaine there is around when they can just throw it overboard like that. All right, that was a funny story. I thought, you now you got a bunch of coke addict sharks running around the what would be that the Caribbean and Atlantic Oceans. That should be fun. And the other thing we come up with J.D. Vance. Now, as you all know, J.D. Vance is Trump's running mate, unless you're, of course, been on vacation on Mars. My thing with J.D. Vance is quite simple. Somebody needs to walk up to him and say to him, J.D., what changed with Trump that you now support him and you're willing to be his vice president when not too long ago you were calling him all sorts of names, including Hitler? So you change, and you tell me what it is that changed in Donald Trump. I mean, did he all of a sudden become a nice guy? Did he all of a sudden become a benevolent leader? What changed to make you sell your soul to the most hated men in America, huh? Oh, man. The stupidity of politics, Somebody kissed his ass and said, hey, you come over on our side, you can get rich because we're going to steal everything. Yeah. Let's see if I can read it. Oh. Here's an issue that somebody should bring up to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and anybody else in the Republican Party. The so-called, the numbers I've heard are between 6,000 and 10,000 people being trained to replace all the civil service workers in the United States that don't exactly agree with Donald or the megas. Now, that is quite possibly the dumbest thing I've heard, number one. Number two, it means that all of us that are dependent upon various programs in the government are not going to be able to get them because they're going to hold us up for it, like Social Security, health insurance, Medicaid, Medicare. Those are the three big ones. Unemployment insurance, that's another big one. So what do? When they take that away from us and threaten our lives and everything, what do? Turn into criminals? I'm up. I'll do it. It's just this stupidity that I see floating around all the time, and it makes it difficult to come here and discuss an issue because Trump makes issues out of the non-issues, and the non-issues become major problems. For him, I think. Trump needs to, I don't know what he needs to do, but he needs to do something in order to make himself seem more of a normal human being. Somebody who can actually go forward and govern. He doesn't discuss issues. Look at what happened when he spent I don't know, three. Some people said it was as late as 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night, screaming and yelling about Kamala Harris. You know, well, if she's so bad, why don't you sit down and discuss the issues with her? You know, let's see whether her answers and what she would do and what you would do without your bluster, without your bullshit. You know. I'll tell you one thing, you got that Ohio senator saying it's going to result in a civil war if the Democrats win. I got to tell you, first prisoner of war is going to be Donald Trump. Drag him off in chains, people. Drag him off in chains. That's what he deserves with what he's tried to do to this country. Now, when he used to have that chant, lock her up when it came to Hillary, it shouldn't have been the issue it was. But yeah, Hillary wasn't honest. Hillary was crooked. Hillary could have been a dangerous person in the presidential office, you know. But he's gonna do a lot of personality issues with Kamala. She's gonna discuss a lot of her sex life and everything else, you know, her love life, sex life, everything that she's ever done. But keep in mind, if you have half a brain, look at the issues, folks. Look what they're going to do. Trump is going to remove all the social protections that we have. He's going to take away all the safety nets that people have. He's going to do nothing but make rich people richer and poor people slaves. Now, me being me, you all know I don't really live up there anymore, and all I can do is tell you I'm not on an everyday thing with Donald anymore, where I see him all the time, or you know, running around the streets or something like that, or I watch him on television. I don't. But if you're going to go to an age factor, I'm the same age Donald Trump is. And my conversations sometimes end up a lot like his speeches, where I go off on a tantrum or a tangent, and I seem to have forgotten what I was talking about. And that happens to me, and I know it's happening to him. And I will tell you this, I'll say you the same thing to him that I said that I was saying about Biden. You don't get better with age, okay? If you're starting to have any sort of cognitive problem, remembering what you're talking about or keeping your train of thought going, then you have a problem that is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And when you take a personality such as Donald's, which is a violent, volatile, evil personality, and you say, you know, he starts to get a little forgetful. That's not it's more of a dangerous thing than it is a silly thing, you know, because everything this man does is predicated upon his temperament rather than a true issue, you know. I always get a kick out of Make America Great Again. Most countries that aren't America consider America to be a great country. Now, we that live in America on a daily basis have maybe we've gotten spoiled. Maybe that's why we don't think America's great anymore. Immigration is a problem, but immigration is a worldwide problem. It is not strictly a United States problem. It happens in every country in the world. And if he decides to do away with all the climate stuff that the previous presidents have done, basically Obama and Biden, then what's going to happen is you're going to have climate problems. And if you have climate problems, that usually indicates water or food. It's not, you know, whether there's oil in the ground or not. It's going to be food and water. When you start to have those kind of problems, you have issues that he's not equipped. You know, we're not equipped to deal with them, so he's not equipped to deal with them. You know, it boils down to in his abortion rulings and his anti-abortion stance and his anti condom stance and everything else is a birth control stance. I'm sorry, I forgot what I say. I told you I forget things sometimes. So his birth control stance and what have you will cause an increase in population, and it may not be something that you'll notice right away, but you will notice it after he's gone, after this 4 years is up, and that these toddlers that are now running around the country, unwanted children or wanted children that just can't be afforded or something, that you're going to have issues with food, water. How do you feed these people? When you increase the population, how do you feed them? You go to China and you look at China and say, well, they're feeding billions of people. How are they doing it? Well, because their basic diet through history is rice, and rice is a fairly easy crop to grow. It has its problems too, but it's not a cattle problem, it's not a fish problem, it's not they can just, that and the fact that they can just, steal food if they want it. The country that exhibits the most sustainability with a limited resources is North Korea. Where they're getting food from, and how they're feeding, and their population just keeps growing. That's their problem. That's why they want to go to war. They got no place to put the people. Wow. Oh, excuse me for a second. I'm having a little bit of a migraine here. I can't see what I'm saying. All right, I'll continue until I, can't. But I've always had that question. I've watched construction in my neighborhood where I lived in Parsippany, and we had I don't forget what they call the type of wells, but artesian wells. No, they were it was underground water supply that they built so many offices for and whatnot. They used it all because they were all air conditioned, and air conditioning is water cooled, not air cooled. Air conditioning cools the air by water. So you had these 10-story office buildings, huge office buildings. And when I left, a lot of it, they had 70% unoccupied. But yet the air conditioning systems had to work every day, otherwise the heat would become oppressive in the building, and the possibility of windows blowing out and what have, I don't know. But they had to use heat and air conditioning, so they were using electric and water all the time, whether there was anybody in the building or not. This is a problem. The two things that they said, well, we have the water. That's not a problem. We can get the water. We figured that out. I said, okay, what are you going to do with the sewage? What are you going to do with the garbage you're generating? They didn't have an answer for it. And when they started to charge people for it, people didn't want it. It wasn't cost effective for small companies to stay in that big building. So the building becomes obsolete. You had companies like AT&T that are constantly moving people around. You have a building one week and then they use it to, they own the building, they're going to rent the building out. It doesn't work that way all the time. So they're taking a loss on that, depreciated real estate values and what have you. That's all an accountant thing, I'm not really familiar with all that, how that works. But I know they're still making money. In the meantime, the city's trying to figure out what the hell to do with this. It's like, you want to see what a crisis, the first indication that there was a possible crisis of wastewater in America was during one of the early Super Bowls. They had the halftime, and during the halftime, the water pressure dropped to the extent that the firefighters couldn't fight a 10-story fire or something like that. That was an amazing statistic, and apparently it's still the same. Very strange. Well, it's not strange. It's just a problem we have, you know. And I've looked at this for years and said to that's I think that's one of the reasons we have wars, because wars kill people, and we do it in a war. It's actually acceptable. But if you said all of a sudden you came out and you said, hey, we have to control population. How do we do that? We've got too many people. All right, all the old people go over here and we'll give you some pills and you'll be gone. All right. Cemeteries are full. Where you put the dead bodies anymore? You have to cremate them. It's not something people want to see or talk about, but it's the truth. This is all problems that Trump and Kamala are going to have to face eventually. Trump more so, especially if he decides to do away with the Republicans, are going to be held responsible, because it's like Biden's responsible for anything that happens from this year on, for the next year, into the next first year of Trump's presidency, if he gets elected. But after that, Trump is responsible for everything that happens to this country, and if he, with his climate control bullshit, the world. And